Warren, publisher of the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint newspaper, coming to you with our program From the Desk of the Editor. And this program is intended to provide you an opportunity for feedback. We have an open mic experience here. You probably saw your email blast 15 minutes before this program that we do, always reminding you that it's coming, and it's got all kinds of good information in it. You can reach us by phone at 858-251-6111, or you can go to godradio1.com. In terms of the internet, Dr. Thompson is here at the controls, helping to make things work. And we got a few things we want to talk about. This hour goes so very quickly. We always like to remind you that the Voice and Viewpoint is San Diego's oldest African-American publication. And in an age of digital transformation, we are digital, but we're still print. And we want to keep print because there's so many people who are part of our history that demand and want print. And in San Diego County, we have less than 50% of the people here on the internet. So in spite of all of the social media hoopla and praise, the social media stuff disappears. But you can always reach back and take this newspaper and have a copy and show people who and what. And we're excited that we're able to do that. We publish 52 weeks a year, if you will, and we have been consistent with that. And we are now going into our 66th year of publication. So, Dr. Thompson, greet our audience.
Yes, good evening, all. So happy to be with you here today. And this evening, so much is going around our community and, excuse me, the world. And I thank God for, us having this opportunity to go before you. There's a lot of things that people miss out on. And the one thing about it, I went and got some donuts for a friend at my favorite donut shop right there on Division and Euclid.
Golden Donuts.
And Golden Donuts.
Yes.
And I looked over, and to see if there was any more newspapers left in the newsstand. And I love the fact that you can always go get a donut and a newspaper. And I love going to that donut shop especially because I see people sitting there with a cup of coffee, reading the newspaper, talking to one another, showing things, and then going back and getting a copy for a friend or something of that nature. So the feel of the authentication or the authenticity of the paper and holding it in your hand and being able to hear the paper's got the wrinkle and you got to have a special flip with it. Is very prevalent at that coffee shop, and it's always a blessing when I'm able to stop by. And she always greets us with the same thing: "Hi, honey, how are you? Long time no see." And so, but that's one of the things about.
Well, they're great people with that donut shop. I've been going there for 35 years. That stand's been there at least 25, and it's so funny that whenever I go there and buy donuts, she always throws some extra in the bag. And my son went there one day because he grew up going with me to the donut shop, and he bought some donuts. He looked in the bag and he didn't see the extra. He says, "You didn't give me any extras like my father." And the lady said, "Well, you're not your father."
Yeah.
And so, but they are very good people. I think they're Cambodian, and they've been there consistently. And those are the people we need to appreciate and do business with, people that are in our community, and we've all grown older together as watching our hair turn white and the whole thing,
And then it's the mere fact that they're one of the best donut shops in the city. It's in our community, and they treat you with respect as you treat them with respect. They remember you, and it's just not that you're just a bypasser, but they literally understand and know their customers, and I think that that's a big part. And then to have our historic newsstand there and everything like that, you gonna make me almost be tempted to start doing, donuts and newspapers, and have people to come out and have those type of open discussions with the newspaper in the hand and use it as a tool in a vehicle. We always talk about the paper as being not just something that you read, but it's actually history. It's a tool. It's something you could go back to, but it's also telling our story.
Well, we have to replenish that stand at least twice every week.
Yeah.
Because the papers go so fast there. And we have those specific places where papers still move like that in this economy. We've lost a lot of locations, but a lot of them are still very steadfast. And nobody makes old-fashioned donuts the way they do.
Yeah.
They're chocolate, they're caramel, they're plain, they're glazed, they're apple fritters. I just can't eat it like I used to.
Yeah. Well,
but they're good.
Dr. Warren, I know that we always talk about, that we still print 52 weeks out of the year. The one thing that I love about this division of the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint, yes, we still do the hard copy print, but we also knew that there was a need in a population that still needed to be served, and that was in the digital print market. And so if we didn't choose one over another, we kept them both, and we're expanding on that both. I remember when the paper was some color and some black and white.
Yeah.
Now you go on there and you say, well, this is mostly color or all color, and we see the evolving of the paper, the evolving of our product, but also we're seeing that we're not going to be in the dark ages.
Well, that's a very important point you make, Dr. Thompson, because there was a time that we only wrapped the front page in what they call electrobright, but the rest of it was an older newsprint, faded. And most of our papers still do that. We do our whole paper in high bright, and we do color every place that it needs to be, and then the paper is online in color. And so really you get 2 for 1 because you get the print exposure and then you get the online exposure with the paper every week. And then we get the news bites that we put out, which gives you additional information. And we are on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on X, we're on every social media platform because we have some very bright young people that work to make that happen.
Yeah, and one of the things I would love to challenge, especially our churches, you have an outstanding church directory, and I believe that every church in our community should be in the church directory because, again, people look at online and they also look at hard print when they come to our city. They're trying to find a church. How can we find the church? They go online and they look at the paper or they look at these church directory. So that and your announcements and things of that nature, please use it as a tool because it's still very, very valuable. And what I love about it is, before when you were just a print newspaper, that was it, print.
Yeah.
Now it's print, it's digital, it's news bites. And so you get in there and you get bang for your buck because of the fact that you guys are consistently expanding.
And we do not raise the price. We stay at the 50 cents. I don't ever intend to raise it. We give papers to our churches every week, to our senior centers and nursing facilities, and our libraries, the major libraries in our community. They all get free papers every week for distribution for people hands-on. So it makes a big difference, and we are still covering the events. And as we get closer to our gala, which will be February 13th this year, we have 2 pastors that we are adding to that whole cadre of pastors that we're honored. And we hope this year that all of our past Good Shepherd recipients will come back for this particular event.
Yeah, I love it when what I call the alumni that have been honored in the past come back and they come in the mindset of celebrating the ones that are receiving this year. The awards, I really enjoy the awards because the Good Shepherd Award is a custom-made award that can only be given out by the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint Gala. It is a patent award. It's like a Grammy. It's like a Stellar because you can get it no other place but here. And so those are the kind of unique things when we start thinking about historical moves and legacy moves. Putting together a gala, not just about we're going to celebrate friends or we're going to celebrate the people that we like, but really honoring people that sometimes are part of our fabric of our life, but we don't see them as much as we should until somebody brings it to our attention. It's almost going by a historical building, and you don't know it's a historical building until somebody put a plaque on it. You know what I'm saying? So it's so important that we take the opportunity and we have what we call the high-end gala and black tie, and we dress up and we honor one another and we enjoy one another in a classy environment. And watch this, and we don't have to be there all night. And what I love about it, and Dr. Warren, you're a stickler about this, we don't do CP time.
No.
If we say 6, it starts at 6.
Right. And we usually out of there by 8:30.
Yes.
Okay, and that's important in terms of it. But I always remind people, Dr. Thompson, we were the first ones to institute the term gala. And a gala is more than a dinner party. A gala is entertainment. A gala is dressed up in terms of the fineness. One of the things we had to drop because of the pandemic was the dancing part, because that became a part of it too. And so a gala, everybody's chicken dinner is not a gala. And now they're calling everything a gala, but it's not, because you go through the extra dress with the ambiance. And thanks to what you do as the IT and technical person, we transform the Liberty Station Conference Center into a first-class location. Mm-hmm. And people love it. And if you don't believe it, you can still go on YouTube right now and look at our past events. Even when we did it in the midst of the pandemic and we had to use our own location as a studio, we did the same thing in terms of the transformation. So a lot is in it. We don't give people them little glass plaques, pieces of glass that you can't read unless you put something behind it. We go out and we spend the money and we make it something that you're going to be proud to have going forward.
And one of the things about it, I never even address other galas or other events that are happening, because this gala, what's so important about this gala is this is history. And every event, every activity that takes place that is some form of a gala or an awards program or everything, they're honoring based on what they're about. But the Voice and Viewpoint is the only organization that is talking about the story of San Diego, of African Americans in San Diego.
Yes.
And that's what makes it so unique. When you're honored at a Voice and Viewpoint Gala, you're being honored from the storytellers, the keepers of the message, the keeper of the trusted message, and the keeper of the flame. And I think that that's so important that we understand that everybody has place and position. But it's like, say, for instance, in the music world, everybody wants a Grammy. But you look at it and you're like, people fought for this and got it, but it's a Grammy. You know what I'm saying? And it has value and meaning.
Significance.
And significant. And that's what when the gala season or the gala started for the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint, it was to have an award with historical meaning and significant meaning.
And you see that when you walk through the lobby and you see past publishers, past issues, and all of those things that we put out there that are a significant part of the history of the paper. And that's what makes it so very special that we're able to pull those things together in that manner. And so we're excited. It's the 12th or the 13th. One of the most significant things before we move forward, Dr. Thompson, is the cost. We have managed to keep the cost at $95 per person. And any event you go to is going to be $100, $150 and the whole bit.
Well, hold on, Dr. Warren. See, I'm going to tell it, I'm going to tell it. It should be at $150. It should be higher, but Dr. Warren's like, no. We are concerned. We are a community organization that we want them to come, and we don't want to price our community out of it. So he said, nope, we're going to keep it under $100. We all give him that look like, Dr. Warren. He'd be like, don't Dr. Warren me. I want our community. This is also a part of us celebrating our community. So it's a sacrifice.
And it is. And our sponsors know that we take a large portion of our sponsorship money to offset the cost so that other people, because food is up, everything is costing more. And that's a part of the reason why I insist that people dress accordingly. And it's hard to get the men to understand before we move on, because when we say black tie, on the one hand, it can be a tuxedo, but black tie can be a black suit with a white shirt, a black necktie, or a black bow tie, okay? but that's what black tie is. And they have people coming in there like they're going to happy hour, open collar, no shirt, no tie, and all of that kind of stuff. And, my attitude is to say, come back next year.
But, the thing is that, Dr. Warren, it's about setting precedents and setting standards. And I always say that setting precedents, setting standards starts at home. You know what I'm saying? We can't then go to that house that used to be the White House. I don't know what it is now. And we'll go to there and they'll say it's black tie and we go rent a tuxedo. We do this, we do that. But then in our own home, when we say it's black tie, we then don't respect it. I always tell people that we must also show that we respect our own first if we want anybody else to respect us. So, again, a black suit, a black tie, a bow tie. And you know what's the funny thing about it? A bow tie over at Men's Fashion Depot is what, $5?
Yeah, it doesn't cost much. And the few people that you might see in there that are not in a tuxedo so many times are our sponsors who came straight from work. Okay, and so it made an exception for them because they helped foot the cost for the whole thing. Okay, but in terms of us, we have to show enough respect for ourselves. We have enough time to. If we were giving away money, people would be off on Friday and they would get ready and be there in time. So we would do that. So anyhow, it's coming. You're going to see notices coming up. We need to talk, Dr. Thompson, for a moment about what's about to come up, because next week we have and the week after we're moving toward Thanksgiving. Next weekend, people will be doing these turkey giveaways, and we got people doing some of them. You have a list of where the giveaways are going to be. We're going to be putting it online and in the paper. Some people want you to call and sign up in advance so they will know. Many do not have as much as they've had in the past because a lot of sponsors with the economy and all the things are pulling back. One of the tragedies that we've had in the past 24 hours was that the Supreme Court upheld the Trump move to hold up the SNAP money, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program money, which is just ridiculous that they would know that people are being starved, kids are being starved, and they are so much in his pocket that they would go and agree with him in terms of the decision of the court. And so we're going to feed people. God always provides. We're going to get through it. It's time for us to make some real serious decisions. A lot of fast food chains are cutting back in terms of the people because there's a limit on how much they can raise their prices. I mean, in the pandemic, you got the point they were paying a dishwasher $20. That meant you had to pay a whole bunch of extra money for whatever you were buying, and the cost goes up and the portions go down. And so this is time to circle the wagons, go back to eating at home, go back to having some family gatherings, if you will, go back to being a little more conservative with what we buy. It might be a good time to give up those cigarettes, which are $15 a pack or whatever it's costing now. Because I stopped smoking when they went to 50 cents a pack. I was just that cheap. I wasn't going to pay.
Well, Dr. Warren, the funny thing is we have to use different language versus start cooking meals at home.
Yeah.
We have to use different language. Meal prep. Start meal prepping at home.
Yeah.
So that you can save money.
Yeah, do meal prep at home and be selective in where you shop, which items you can get, know where you can get produce, know where you can get meats or eggs or milk or whatever it is that you need. You got to look at it. You can't just go into one place. And I'm not going to do the disservice of calling out the names of the different places that are overpriced. But if you are watching your wallet, you're going to start looking very closely. Now, San Diego did something recently, Dr. Thompson, which is very important. San Diego passed the ordinance, the city did, that for all digital ads, they have to be listed on the shelf by the product so that people can scan those, because we had people who, if you look at some of the digital prices, tons of dollars are to be saved in terms of it. I remember when I first became aware of it, I was buying a certain soup that was costing $2.99 a can, And when I looked at the digital ad, it was only 99 cents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was a big difference. And of course, since I upped the computer strength. The sister was doing the restocking, and she stopped and helped me load the app and get ready for all those things. So we need to pay very close attention, if you will. We need to be conservative with how we're spending. Save enough to spend that 50 cents on Voice and Viewpoint, because we need your 50 cents to help us. But at the same time, look at the people that you're spending money with. So many of the businesses, if they were doing business with Dr. Thompson and with Voice and Viewpoint, we would be able to, both of us, be able to hire a couple of more people from the community to work. We'd be able to give back in terms of some jobs. And people are taking millions away from us, and we just letting it go. Well, we just need to step it up.
Yeah, and one of the things that we also have to realize is that as we begin to look at this, but yet we're still giving. Dr. Warren, you have sown into many of the ministries that are giving turkeys away and being a blessing to them. I know that we're very excited about Mandate Project Impact and Mama Bees, who is doing their Thanksgiving basket giveaway at Porter Elementary School. You do have to register. We know that also there is a turkey giveaway and resource fair at the Jacob Center.
Well, do you have the days for those events?
You know what? What I found out, Doc, is there's a couple of things I got, so I'm gonna download and send it to you.
Okay.
But the turkey giveaway at the Jacob Center is on the 23rd.
Okay.
And from 10 to 2.
Right.
There is a community Thanksgiving dinner at Malcolm X Library on the 23rd from 12 a.m. or 12 noon to 4 p.m.
And that's very special. Let's say a word about that, because the sisters that do that, is so phenomenal to watch them come early in the morning, and they're like caterers. They got everything already cooked and ready, and they set it up, and you can come in and sit down and have a meal. Doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to go through any changes. You're greeted with love and kindness, and you can eat and say thank you and be out the door. I think that in some instances, if we're able to, we ought to leave some kind of token of appreciation for what people are doing, because we are so much into the habit of being takers and receivers and not being givers. And yet, if you stop and think about it, we waste money on a lot of things that we want and don't necessarily need. And some of that money we can channel back to our own in terms of helping each other. I think that's important.
And so you talked about this Thanksgiving, and then there's the Harvest, what they call Money Festival at Lincoln High School. And then the 79th Assembly member is doing her turkey giveaway and health fair on the 23rd also.
Right.
From 10 to 1 at Cherokee Point Elementary School.
Right. And so all these things are not just held to the neighborhood, because the neighborhood is bigger than we are.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Dr. Akila Weber is doing her giveaway at Madison High School. That is also still a part of her area that she celebrates.
Right.
And I, Doc, what I do is I try to make sure that we have as much information that we have. And so hers is also on the 23rd from 10 to 1. And that this is Assembly
Senator.
Yeah,
Senator Weber.
Yeah.
And we want to be sure that people, in terms of these events, don't try to organize and run from one to the other. You can't eat but one turkey at a time.
Exactly.
And let's not take from people who need. We got families, we got children. If you know somebody, and Dr. Thompson, we got to say this. I don't know what it is, but in the almost 40 years that I've been doing this, I'm always painfully disappointed at the lack of African-American participation I see in these events. And I don't think that we should be so proud that we can't go out. Everybody else does, and we should be. I mean, it's nothing wrong with being helped or receiving help. And sometimes we let false pride get in the way. And so we want people to be sensitive. These are very difficult times, folks. There are so many people that are not eating even today. They don't have food. Unfortunately, we all do this once a year or twice at Christmas, but it's a time for us to start thinking about how can we be of better help. I'm encouraging our churches to reinstitute pantries at the churches. Have people bring canned goods to church. You know, one of the pantries I was so impressed with, some years ago, I was in Paterson, New Jersey, where my wife has her foundation, and to the Underground Railroad, and we visited this church on a Sunday, and it was named Calvary too, by the way, in Paterson, and it was so fascinating to see the members coming to church. Everybody was bringing a bag. Everybody was bringing a canned goods or something that could go in a basket or could go in a pantry, and it was the mood of the church that we're going to help others. And so we want to be like that. We want to get back to that and not just raid the place just because it's there. We got to bring some character and collective appreciation back to what we do.
Yeah, and as a member of St. Stephen's Cathedral Church of God in Christ, we have a humongous food giveaway and on a monthly basis where Feeding San Diego comes in and people line around the block. We also have Sunday morning pantry where people are able to get fresh fruits and vegetables and things of that nature. There are churches that are doing it. It's just that not enough people know about all the churches that are doing things. So this is why we always are talking about being a part of the Voice and Viewpoint, being a part of the church directory. We want to know what you are doing so that the services can be, number one, shared with others, but number two, that becomes a very attractive part of serving the community. And anytime a community is served, they want to come back and be a part of the service.
And we can't let ourselves be limited by budget cuts in terms of city, county, state, or federal government. We have always had the ability to look out for and help each other. And, the first Thanksgiving, and they keep giving the Pilgrims all the credit for it, but if it wasn't for the Native Americans, the Pilgrims would have starved and died. Because so many of them did die. They didn't know how to feed themselves in a hostile land.
Yeah.
And the Native Americans brought them food. They brought them turkeys and deer and showed them how to plant corn and had food with them. Of course, they were rewarded with the same kind of lack of appreciation that is so prevalent. But it's as important that we do these things.
So, Doc, we're going to go. We've encouraged the people.
Okay.
We've given them some assignments. We want you to spread the word. Now, let's get back to what's going on at the place in D.C. Have we opened the government? Have we taken the vote? What's happening?
Well, it's unfortunate because California really set a trend on November 4th. We had an 80% vote in favor of Proposition 50. Now we're going to be about the business of lining up our candidates for 2026 and getting out there supporting them.
Yeah.
The Voice and Viewpoint has shared with us and our community that so far Trump and Heritage Foundation, they've implemented 48% of Project 2025. And we can slow the roll on that. We had great victories. We talked about them last week. Mandami in New York as the mayor, Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey, Abigail Stanberger in Virginia coming forward. And Stanberger is very significant because she was running for governor against a black woman. And the black woman was a Trumper, a MAGA person, and all of those things. And yet she was very gracious to her in terms of her victory speech. And so we're showing that we're learning to vote beyond just color. Last week, a question came up about the filibuster, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it in terms of time because you raised the issue, Dr. Thompson. And the filibuster is something that most people outside of government don't understand. I would say if you ever saw the old movie Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and if you saw Mr. Smith Goes to Washington with, I think it was Jimmy Stewart, he got elected to the Senate. And what happened in the Senate is they have rules for the quorum in terms of how people can speak. Now, the filibuster in order to stop the filibuster, the rule has been modified over the years. There's some things that a member can get up and talk as long as they want to, going back to the 1800s. But there are other things that have been limited, like Supreme Court appointments and the budget and all of those things. What Trump wants is he wants to get the Senate back to what they call a simple majority, where you got 50 people, and if you get that one vote, 51, you can make it. Well, for a filibuster, where people can get up and start talking, you can't cut off debate until you get 60 votes. And you can't get 60 votes when each party only has 50 votes. So somebody has to cross the line. And so one of the most recent examples of a filibuster is what Cory Booker did when he talked for 25 and a half hours, breaking Strom Thurmond's record, nonstop, without going to the bathroom, stopping, or anything. And that was a record. And that kind of thing was used to delay. Strom Thurmond used it in 1957, trying to block the 1957 Civil Rights Act. And so he had held a record until Cory Booker did. And so people also have what they call a silent filibuster. And when it becomes clear that 41 of the senators are not going to participate, then that means the 60 that needed is not there. There's only 59. So those are the important things. What happened today of significance is that the lady from Arizona was finally sworn in after 50 days. And she made it very clear when she was sworn in that her first order of business was to become the 218th signature on a discharge petition, which is now going to force the House to bring up the Epstein issue. And those who are going to vote against it will be seen in terms of who they are. And that's very, very important, okay? And so we need to keep our eyes on what's happening in Washington right now. The president knows that they're losing ground, but they're still out rounding up people. They're still going into churches and the schools and all of that. They're still trying to, in Chicago, give the appearance that it's the military when it's really Homeland Security people dressed like soldiers with masks, pulling people out of schools. They got them pulling a lady out of a school and manhandling her and the whole bit, hitting people. The inhumanity of their behavior is reflective of the president's lack of concern. And yet there are people who still support him. The prices of meat are up. The farmers are hurting. But they have drank the Kool-Aid thinking that what he's doing is saving them. And they have bought the idea that he's tried to give them that it's going to hurt a little bit now, but if you suffer through now, it's going to get better. He's not going to kill us all off. You know, the crops are going bad. The immigration issue is important to all of us. And so I want African Americans to be extremely conscious, because if you go back and look at history, we have set the tone for every civil protest, disobedience, from everything that everybody's doing, from marching to signs. It all comes from us here. And now we are the ones who are doing the least participation and being hurt probably the most by what's taking place.
Yes, you know, and they are so much wanting to bring more ICE agents in. I hear that they have a hiring looking for ICE agents.
Yes, they are, because they got a big budget boost from Trump and his big, beautiful bill, and they got the money to go out and hire all the people they can find. And it almost makes you wonder what the screening process is, because the people that are being hired have no compassion, have no mercy, and are just ruthless, still gassing people, ignoring the courts. Courts have given order. The federal court told Trump that they had to reinstate SNAP. And what did they do? They ignored it. They appealed it, and Supreme Court went with Trump. And so we got children not eating. We got people having all kinds of problems in terms of every day with their homes and food. And yes, we got Feeding San Diego and the food bank working here in the community. And we have 3 major charitable entities that came together and set aside $80 million to help here. San Diego Foundation, Catholic Charities, Price Charities. They all got together with United Way, and they're trying to help people. The governor has pulled in the National Guard to help staff the food banks. The lines are growing. And so all of these things are taking place. And so we need to find a way to help each other even more.
Yeah. And I think that's the key. That's the biggest thing, is that we must learn how to be self-sufficient in this time and in this season. A lot of people are going back to doing gardens in their backyards and doing fresh vegetables and potted plants so that they can save money, especially those that like tomatoes or certain things that are very, very high end. And I've seen a lot, even on social media, where they're showing you how you can take a fruit and take the seeds and plant it and literally get papayas and other things that you can grow in yourself.
Yes.
And so moving forward, that's going to be the strategy. I always tell people that we have to not only look at the enemy from without, but we also have to look at the enemy within. Many times we become our own enemies because we drink the Kool-Aid too.
Well, on 54th Street, right there near Streamview, they have that garden that Michelle Obama came out to look at. And those people that come together and they raised all kinds of food there. There's a community garden in Lemon Grove. One of the things I've been so impressed with it, because normally when you have those community gardens, I know my sister went through this. People back east, they work hard to raise their big tomatoes and stuff, and just about they think it's right. They go out the next day and somebody had gone in the night before and stole all the vegetables, just demoralize them. And so we don't seem to be having that issue here, which is good that we don't. But we all have to become a committee of one in terms of helping each other.
Yeah, and that's in this time in this season. We're going to have to look at, as we're getting ready to go into the Thanksgiving season, the airports are still backlogged. Many flights are being thousands of flights are being canceled daily, and they're saying even though we reopen the government, it's going to take several months to ever get the flights back on track. The question comes in, moving forth in the busiest season of the year, will we be ready, or will we see multiple plane crashes?
Well, some people have to make some decisions, Dr. Thompson. I know, I remember there were stories on the media of a person who was traveling from New York to Alabama, I believe it was, and they had made the decision that they were going to travel by train so that they could leave earlier in terms of taking it. And train, I grew up traveling by train. Train is a very good ride. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have a compartment, because the train compartment costs you more than a cabin on a cruise ship, really. Mm-hmm. If you were to go from here to the East Coast, you can take the northern route, which goes to Chicago, or the southern route that comes through New Mexico and comes around up through Florida and Texas and Louisiana. But a train ride is a good piece. Some people are driving. It might be a case where some people just have to forego this Thanksgiving holiday. I don't think that we should be stupid about this and think that just because it's a holiday, we must do it. We all are not going to have a Hallmark moment. We're not going to have a Hallmark meal. And so sometimes we have to circle the wagons where we are and use some common sense and distraction, okay?
Yeah, because the bottom line is that no matter how you like it, if the air traffic controllers are tired, they're overworked, and they're not being paid, it just seems that there is an accident waiting to happen.
Of course there is. And, at any given day when things are at normal, quote unquote, there are 5,000 airplanes in the air all over the U.S., and all kinds of dangers are implied in that because they are commercial, they're private, they're military, they're air corridors, there's a handing off from one to the other, and you just can't, do an internet computer course and become an air traffic controller. Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch involved in that. And so we're excited. We've been blessed so far, but we need to circle the wagons in terms of what can we do different. Speaking of Dr. Thompson, and I know I keep throwing stuff out for us. But Black Friday is coming, and we need to caution people about Black Friday. Okay, because folks be standing out all night, standing in line for stuff. A lot of the stuff that they put out there, they were just trying to get rid of anyhow. Okay, and Black Friday is not based on our color in terms of calling it black. It's called Black Friday because black is the color of profit, and red is the color of deficit and loss.
Well, wait, hold on, Doc. I know that as a businessman, but how is, because it seems like everything they say is black, is negative. So how can they use black as a profit area? You say, angel food is white cake, devil food is black cake. You know what I'm saying? But they said Black Friday, they go into the black.
Yeah, because black has always been a term for profit in business.
Okay.
Long before they started doing Black Friday. And red has always been the indication of loss in business. Okay? And so Black Friday, they're starting the sales early. You notice people have already started putting Christmas stuff up because it's not enough to have 20 days or so between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so they're trying to get in on it more. I don't think you're going to see as many natural Christmas trees as you normally have seen because of the price of the trees is ridiculous. And you can buy, now they have mastered artificial trees so that you can't even tell that the tree is artificial until you pull on the thing. The smell is there and the whole bit. Those trees are going for $200 and up. And on the one hand, it really, from an ecological standpoint, makes sense to buy an artificial tree as opposed to cutting down trees and keeping them and then disposing of them. And we're trying to become environmentally sensitive. So,
well, Dr. Warren, years and years ago, my family is big on Christmas. Years and years ago, it's like we had this conversation about Christmas trees and live Christmas tree. Finally, there was some voice of wisdom, and they got a very nice, lovely artificial tree that looked the same every year. You could put some smell good on it, everything. And I called it legacy building. Okay. Because now that, we don't do the big Christmas anymore, we done sent it down to our daughter. And so she has the big tree and everything like that. So you get a good tree and let it be legacy building and cheer from generation to generation.
It's good each year. And we've given away a couple of those big trees like that because we don't need big trees, in terms of where we are. So all of these things are very, very important. There was a question raised about a blackout. That a lot of things happen. We went from Black Friday to Cyber Monday to Giving Tuesday. And we had to do Cyber Monday because once Amazon set the pace and people start shopping online, the online purchases got to be as big. If right now it's probably even bigger than a lot of the brick and mortar store scenarios because people are becoming wise. I know my wife does so much online shopping that I want to put a little table with milk and cookies out there for the delivery people because it's just a nonstop. And don't forget that Amazon owns Whole Foods. Remember, they bought them some time ago. Amazon, when they were talking about the longshoreman shutdown and the issues in the pandemic, Amazon wasn't concerned about those freight ships out there. They just flew their planes over to get what they needed.
Exactly.
Because they had the fleet of planes, okay? And so a lot of things have changed. And as big as Amazon is here, I keep telling people, don't miss taking a look at Alibaba. Alibaba is bigger than Walmart and Amazon combined, okay? And I remember maybe he's 50 now. He was about 45 years old when this thing took off because these local companies like Walmart, they might have $1 million Monday, while Alibaba was so big, he was having $1 billion Monday. In terms of in China, and the government stepped in and made him break this business up into like 3 separate entities because it was such a threat to folks. And so we just need to be mindful. You know, the same thing happened for Christmas. The Christmas sales used to start on Christmas Day. People would open the stores and folks would be in there to take back that funny looking tie and those socks that they didn't want and all that stuff. And then along comes Kwanzaa. And then they realize that, oh, we got 7 more days. And so all of that gets modified. And we need to adjust our habits and our dollars.
And one of the things about, they call it the big blackout, there's a movement that says that we should take our black dollars during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and everything else and shut it down. Don't spend no money whatsoever and call it the Great Blackout so that they'll know that our voice has a voice.
Well, I thank for that reminder because I had forgotten that we used that term before, the blackout. But, our problem is that we still lack discipline as a people. And part of that is that black folks have confused discipline with slavery and oppression. Because we have been programmed for short-term gratification in terms of being able to defer for the benefit of a greater scenario. And that's why we got to get out of the habit of running every time we see a sale. Mm-hmm. I always tell folks, there's going to be another sale next week. They're just going to give it a different name.
Exactly.
So let's just do that, okay?
Now, I'm going to ask about this that I'm putting up here for you to see. It actually went past. Let me see if I can get it back up. Yes. Can you talk a little bit about this Rock Bridge Network, conservative political advocacy group founded by J.D. Vance?
Well, the first thing you want to know is that anything that J.D. Vance has founded is not good for the rest of us. That's the first and foremost. And J.D. Vance, if people are responding to J.D. Vance, then that's like making a statement about where their mind is and who they are. Because J.D. Vance is, in many respects, worse and more dangerous than Trump. Trump, they got him falling asleep in meetings and stuff, and yet he was talking about Biden. But Vance is dangerous. He is a poor white boy who came from hillbilly country and had some breaks. And so he thinks now that he should move on up the food chain. Rock Ridge, he can use a term that a lot of people can reach back and connect with in the whole bit. It's like Proud Boys and all of those other groups that give them a false sense of patriotism and loyalty, and we are standing strong against what? Some kind of imaginary obstacle that you've created with people of color so that we are all the enemy, okay? And so I think that we become aware, we watch them, but we don't give them a whole bunch of publicity or thought or attention.
Mm-hmm. Because I feel like they're a spinoff of also the Project 2025.
Of course.
And that there's these rich billionaires that get together and millionaires that get together to try to set up the fate of the next. Every move that they calculate, Donald Trump and them are implementing. And so they're planning the moves before they even happen.
Well, understand that Trump is just an instrument of a movement. And they know that Trump has limited utility. He's going to fade. They are worried about what's going to happen in 2026. If Invisible, that group that's organizing these weekly protests, they have moved in the direction of identifying candidates in each of these races. And they're going to convert those people that have been marching into 7 million voters that's going to make a difference. And we saw an example on November 4th around this country where there were elections in terms of people coming out. One of the big things we have is a surge in black women who are taking over. The number of black women now that are mayors of major cities. We just had a black woman elected mayor in Detroit. And they are becoming important. Detroit, D.C., all of these places as they are spreading out and making impact. And so we have to be involved. We have to vote. We have to be diligent. Even from here in California, we got people in other places. We got to reach out to them.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that we're not going to only be active and activism only in our own city and our own state, but we're going to have to go across state lines to help other people to help lift them up. But first, we must lift ourselves up here.
Well, remember, I pointed out last week, and I'm going to keep doing it every week, that we no longer just need to look at whichever district we're looking at. We're not just looking at District 4 City Council or District 4 the Board of Supervisors. We have to look at the total picture because one person can't do it. We need 5 votes on the City Council and 3 on the Board of Supervisors. And so we need to find at least 3 people that we can support who are going to be receptive and appreciative of our efforts that will give us the votes that we need. That's the only way we're going to stop the developers, the ADUs coming in, and all of these things that are being done to sell us out. We must do this, and we must do it at the state level as well. Fortunately, we have a good governor. Fortunately, Democrats outnumber the Republicans in the state, and independents outnumber Republicans as well. But we need to get involved with this thing now, going forward. Mm-hmm. It's not too soon.
Yeah, and I think that the election starts now. We just finished, a special election, but the election starts now. We can't wait to June or July to get involved. We're going to have to start and be diligent, registering the votes, making sure our young people are registered to vote, and then re-engaging people that got disenfranchised.
That is a necessity and something that we must do. But I think also, Dr. Thompson, and I keep mentioning this, we need to go back to where we were 25 years ago. Our churches had Saturday classes for our young people. Our retired educators were coming out doing instruction to help our kids. We should not be allowing the woke movement to ban a book. Every church ought to have a library. Every church ought to have books. And we ought to reach out and get the books that we need, set up a system encouraging our kids to read, encouraging our kids to use the library. That's up to us to do that. We had rites of passage for young men. And all of the people who did that through attrition have died and moved on and out. But we need to regroup so that we are still reaching out to that element and we're not throwing them out.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Well, I tell you, we have a lot of work to do, a short period of time to do it, but we have to stay vigilant and focused. What's coming up this week in the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint? Can we talk a little bit about your editorial?
Well, I have an editorial this week that talks about how the term Obamacare has become a code for racism against people of color. Because the Affordable Care Act, the ACA, which is a formal name, is not Obamacare. But what happened was those people who were against Obama, who were against extending health coverage to the people who are now going to lose it based on what's happening in the Senate, when they called it Obamacare, it was a code word that said, okay, this is something that black guy brought us, all right? And we don't need this, and so we got to stop it, okay? Because he's gone, but we still got to stop it. It's still here. And so how did we find the proof of that? They did a poll where they said, are you in favor of Obamacare? And a whole bunch of white people said, under no circumstances. And then they asked the same group of white people, are you in favor of the Affordable Care Act? And all of them said yes. And so this is the code. The problem that I point out in the editorial this week is that mainstream media has become an instrument of all of that, because mainstream media rarely says Affordable Care Act. Mainstream media is always referring to Affordable Care as Obamacare. And as long as we do that, we're feeding the racism of that element that thinks that whatever we're going through right now, if we can kill it, it's going to work. The Republicans have had 15 years to come up with an alternative to the Affordable Care Act, and they have moved to try and stop it. What they didn't understand when it was first passed was that it kicked in increments over a 5-year period. It didn't all become active at one time, and that's why they haven't been able to get rid of it, except for now that they're doing this defunding that they're doing. So we got people right now going through crisis in terms they're going to lose insurance coverage. They can't afford to pay the Medicare dollars are being taken away from the state by Trump. And we have folks, it's estimated that at least 50,000 people a year are going to die now for lack of health care because they're going to have to stop whatever care they have, and they won't be able to get treatment. So this is serious, folks. This is why your vote is so important. It was important for Prop 50, and it's important going forward.
Well, Dr. Warren, so much to do, so much to get involved in. You always end off and say that make sure that you're at a Bible-believing, Bible-teaching church. Prayer is going to definitely be our resource and our source for us getting through this time. I want to encourage everybody that as we go into this Thanksgiving season, I encourage you to have a spirit of gratitude.
Yes.
It can be so easy to say what we don't have, but let's just concentrate on the things that we do have. And then make time out for other people, especially our elders and our seniors. Make time to go to them, check on them, make sure that they have a meal, to share a meal, not just take them a meal, but be able to share a meal with them, sit down with them and fellowship with them and show them the love. We have a lot of lonely elders out there.
Yes, we do. And we have a lot of people in nursing homes that some of us sitting around doing nothing could take time to go visit and spend some time with. Because you know what? You never know how you're going to end up, okay? And it's just a short fall and a hit of your head that can put you in one of these facilities. I've had this happen to a number of church members, and people are not here today who thought that they would still be here, okay? And so we need to be mindful of how we can help. Be careful in your movements. I keep telling you, if you go to a doctor, take someone with you. If you're over 50, take someone with you. And young people, do understand that you're not going to be young forever. It's going to catch up with you. And what you plant today is what you're going to have tomorrow. If you don't do anything for anybody today, as you get older and tomorrow comes, you're going to be a lonely person by yourself. The actuaries have already shown us that in the future, there are going to be a ton of lonely individual people without family, without support, without friends and contact, because the time you should have spent with people you spent on social media when you could have been doing something and building a foundation going forward.
Yes. And so we want to encourage you all. Number one, tap in, join, subscribe to San Diego Voice and Viewpoint, GOD Radio. Tap in, listen, read, share, talk about it, have discussions. Let this be an opportunity for us to talk beyond just what we're experiencing, but also see what history is bringing, seeing what's happening around our nation. Let's stay woke and be educated, not only from an African-American perspective, but from a world perspective. That's what we offer you every single week with the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint. We want you to continue to save the date, and that is February 13th for the gala. It is going to be second to none. We got some amazing surprises and some folks that are coming back to make this gala this outstandingly fabulous. And some of the people that are going to be honored, you will know them, but you will also know that they have really touched the fabric of San Diego.
Indeed.
Dr. Warren, any final words?
I just want to encourage you to, if you are not doing so, put God first and foremost. Start each day with prayer. Start requesting what you can do to help someone. Be in a position at the end of your day that you can look back and say that you did do something, and that if you were to be called home, you can hear, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant." We invite you to, if you don't have one, you can always come into our Bible study on Sunday at Eagle's Nest from 9 to 11 where we do scripture. Visit the churches that we have in our church directory. We have a lot of dynamic young pastors that have come into the community as attrition has replaced people. And this can be a very exciting time of rebuilding one's spiritual life. So be blessed.
Amen. Have a very blessed evening. This is from the Desk of the Elder with Dr. John Warren. See you soon.